And we are back with the third segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this third segment, we're going to do a quick recap of all of the important games that happened over this weekend. And Crucial PG in the chat says, W Pistons hate. Yeah, I am not a fan of the Pistons, and I'm not going to talk about them because they beat my Brooklyn Nets. And I'm not going to talk about it. But whatever. Regardless, the important games that happened over this weekend. The important games that happened over this weekend were the Brooklyn Nets going up against Charlotte. And guess what? They lose. Yay! The Brooklyn Nets are the worst franchise in this league. But we're still better than the Pistons. I don't care. I don't care that we lost. We are still better than them. But I completely digress. Let me just put my bias aside. The Brooklyn Nets, they really need to fire this new head coach. He's really bad. He's not doing anything. It's not looking good for this team. Get him out of here. Mikal Bridges has not been the player that I thought he was going to be. He is not first option material whatsoever. He ended the game with 19 points, 6 of 18 from the field. He is not the face of this. He's not the face of this team. I want him off my team. Trade him. Gone. I want him I want him shipped out on the same boat that we're sending Ben Simmons. Get him out of here. But I digress. Cam Thomas, 12 for 24 from the field, 31 points. He can stay. He's totally fine. Ain't nothing wrong with him. Claxton, 6 of 10, 14 points. He can stay. He's cool. Dennis Schroeder, 5 for 12, 12 points. Yeah, no, I'm not dealing with that. We're not dealing with him. No, thank you. I want Dennis Schroeder gone. I was adamant about that trade. Previously, if you watch my podcast over the trade deadline, I was like, oh no. After I found out that the Nets were getting Dennis Schroeder, so. We have some chats. We have some comments in the chat real quick. So, Crucial PG has two things to say. He says, Mikal Bridges is not a superstar. And he also wants me to know, he also has questions on thoughts on MJ being exposed as the right-hand bandit. Yeah, so for people who don't understand, for people who don't understand what he's talking about, over the weekend, there was a lot of circulation and a lot of TikTok clips about how Michael Jordan couldn't go left. And, I mean, hold on, let me just. So essentially, there were a lot of these TikTokers. They were creating videos, right? And they were sort of trying to expose Michael Jordan and expose his style of play, showing how, the 80s and the 90s, the skill base back then is nothing like how it was now. And part of that is the fact that a lot of the players weren't as ambidextrous as the players are now. So Michael Jordan was one of those players. And a lot of the TikTokers, they were ruthless against Michael. There was this one TikToker who literally made a graph showing you everywhere that Michael Jordan dribbled and every single time he used his left hand or his right hand to dribble. And 9 times out of 10, Michael Jordan used his right hand to dribble. And he also ended up using his right hand to shoot. And they were getting very disrespectful, saying that, man, I would cook Michael Jordan in a one-on-one. Man, I would clamp Michael Jordan up. And all that kind of stuff. First of all, I don't know if you guys realize, Michael Jordan is 6'6". And even if he did only go right, he could probably still beat you with only his right hand. So I really don't understand what the talk was. And you guys know I'm a huge LeBron fan. So if a LeBron fan is saying that MJ is going to cook, MJ is going to cook. And it's I don't get that argument whatsoever. I mean, yeah, he was only using his right hand. So what? He was still putting up all those points. He was still hitting shots. He was still making turnarounds. And guess what? None of us would be able to clamp him because most of us aren't as tall as him, as strong as him. And it's not only that, he also has one of the most difficult shots to guard in NBA history, the fadeaway. So when you take all of that into account, the fact that he's bigger, the fact that he's going to have much more strength than a lot of the average, I call them average Joes. I call us ourselves average Joes. He's most likely going to just continue to score on you, and he could probably just score on you with his right hand anyway. So I don't know why people were talking that crazy, saying that like they would clamp Michael Jordan up like Michael Jordan is some scrub. He's 6'6", and he's considered to be one of the most athletic players in NBA history. If you think you are going to beat him, you need to be some super freak athlete that has ridiculous defense, because MJ is going to expose that. These players are much smarter than us than you think, regardless whether they're old heads or whether they're not. Put some respect on his name. He's Michael Jordan. Put some respect on him. But I digress. So back to recapping most of the games that happened over the weekend. We are going to, again, like I talked about how the Bucks beat the Clippers, but I didn't really talk much about this game. Now, the Clippers, they did not play that well, at least in terms of scoring. They played well as a team, but the scoring wasn't really there, apart from Norman Powell, who is actually a very underrated guard in my personal opinion, and one of the better options for the Clippers in terms of scoring. So, and Zubac is really good on the defense, and he also for some reason has some of his best games against some of the best centers. I have no idea why. He ended the game 9 for 11 with 18 points, and Amir Coffey ended the game with 16 points, 6 for 11 from the field. And the fact that Coffey has gotten more points than James Harden in this game, it's a little bit concerning. But then again, there was no Paul George and there was no Kawhi Leonard in this game, so I guess it sort of makes sense why this Clippers team did not win. The media, however, the media is trying to catfish everyone, because they made it seem like the Bucks played ridiculously well against a fully loaded Clippers team. But in reality, it took the Bucks to have a historic performance in order to beat this Clippers team. So I think these Clippers are fine. I think they're fine with where they are. And losing, there's always, it's not fun to lose, but there's always something that could be learned with losing. And they learned that, the Bucks, they need to have a good player. They need to have a historic performance in order to beat a team that is incredibly short-handed. So, with that in mind, it's they're good to go. This Clippers team's good to go. Now, one of the big stories over the weekend was the Knicks versus the Philadelphia 76ers game. This is the lowest scoring game in the NBA season so far. The final score was, get ready for this, 79-73. That is, we were talking about Michael Jordan. Well, this was a Michael Jordan game right here. This was a 90s, 80s basketball game. 79-73. That was some really bad basketball played from the Knicks. And I'm actually getting a little bit concerned, because it's 73 points? I understand that they don't have all of their players, but 73 points? That's it? Josh Hart ended the game with 9 points, 11 rebounds, 43 minutes. He plays so much minutes. Dante DiVincenzo, 15 points, 9 rebounds. Jalen Brunson, 19 points, 8 assists. And that was really all of the scoring coming in from the Knicks. They shot 9 for 40 from 3. And they shot 26 of 80 from the field. Jalen Brunson shot 6 for 22. DiVincenzo shot 6 for 17. Josh Hart went 4 for 13. Overall, very, very inefficient game from everyone on this team. And this game was really, really boring to watch, because everyone was missing. 18 points from Kelly Oubre, 6 of 19. Cameron Payne, 3 for 13 from the field, only 7 points. Tobias Harris, 5 of 14 from the field, only 11 points. Buddy Hield, he had a good game, 6 of 9, 16 points. But again, it's like, this was a really, really bad game. And the fact that the Knicks were on the losing end of this game, even worse. I thought this team was going to be competing with the Boston Celtics. Yet, here they are, losing to the Sixers 79-73. That is really, really bad. I know they're not at 100%, but still, that is really, really bad. Now, Crucial PG is still in the chat. He's saying, can we talk about PJ Tucker averaging 1.4 points and shooting 31% from the field? I mean, he doesn't really get utilized anymore by the Clippers. He doesn't get a lot of minutes, and I'm thinking, like, why doesn't he get a lot of minutes? He's a great corner shooter. And it's also like a conversation like about confidence. A lot of these players, they need confidence in order to, like, that's the most important part of shooting, in my personal opinion. Confidence. If you don't have that, you're going to miss every shot. Let's see. Other important games that happened over this weekend. The Pacers, they recently beat the Orlando Magic. But they beat the Magic, and the Magic are probably one of the more irrelevant teams when they really should not be irrelevant for some reason. Like, Paolo Banchero is probably the least televised all-star in the NBA right now. He gets barely any recognition from the media, barely any recognition from like news outlets, all that kind of thing. Like, he gets no attention. And for someone who won Rookie of the Year and is arguably the best player in his draft class, really, really bad. Like, how are they not covering him more? But he ended the game with 19 points, so this wasn't a really good game coming in from him. Wendell Carter Jr. ended the game with 13 and 15, and they did not shoot that well from the field whatsoever. Paolo Banchero shot 6 for 20. Cole Anthony shot 4 for 14. And they played the Pacers. So you know very well that the Pacers, they were moving lightning fast. They were going quick, and there was really nothing that they could have done on the offensive side of the ball. Let's see. Franz Wagner shot 5 of 14. Did I mention Wendell Carter Jr.? I don't think I did. Wendell Carter Jr. ended the game with 13 points on 13 shots. So really, like, they were on a roll, and then they just slowed down, and now they're back down on their feet. I mean, despite the fact that the Magic are in the playoffs right now as opposed to the Pacers, I honestly did not expect the Orlando Magic to make it this far. Crucial PG in the chat saying that PJ Tucker is trash. He can't shoot anymore, and he gets blown by defensively. Honestly, like, that was another aspect of his game that was really overlooked. His defense. If you remember, he played center when he was on the Houston Rockets, and he was ridiculous. He led the Rockets to the best defensive rating in the bubble, which is ridiculous to me, but I completely digress. Like, that small ball lineup, that was revolutionary. That completely changed the game, just having that spacing. It was very fun to watch. I actually think Houston, when they ran that offense, and for a few days and like for a few weeks, that was my favorite time watching Russell Westbrook. Like, I don't know what it was. That Houston team was different. But yeah, PJ Tucker right now, I guess you can call him a little bit washed up, just because like he's only there for his sneaker collection right now. Now, other important games that went down. Let's go ahead. The Boston Celtics, they ended up beating the Phoenix Suns on Saturday, and the final score was 117-107. Jason Tatum ended the game with 29 points and 10 rebounds. Jaylen Brown ended the game with 27 points. So, see, I mentioned how there's an argument for Jason Tatum, like, not being the MVP just because his team is so good. Look, another one of his teammates ended the game with 20-plus points. Now, on Phoenix's side, Kevin Durant ended the game with 45 points and 10 rebounds, but it wasn't enough to stop the Boston Celtics, because the Boston Celtics still have defense. And they were able to fall back on their defense while their offense was, their offense was a little bit lacking in certain areas, not in everyone, but certain areas. Derek White, he ended the game with only 10 points. And what did he shoot? Let's see. He shot 5 of 8, so it wasn't that bad. But then again, he wasn't really producing that much. But regardless, the Suns, like Bradley Beal, another main contributor to the team, 25 points, and he shot 10 for 20 from the field. If Bradley Beal shot a little bit more efficiently, then this game might have been closer. But so far, this Boston Celtics, again, they've been showing everybody that they're the best team in this league, despite that one embarrassing loss to Denver over on Thursday. But like that's sort of like a bump in the road. It is what it is with that team, and losing to another great team like the Denver Nuggets, in hindsight, is not really that bad if you can keep capitalizing on all of these wins. But let's see. Oh, the Cleveland Cavaliers over the weekend on Friday, they actually ended up beating the Timberwolves despite not having their best player in Donovan Mitchell. So with that in mind, the fact that they were able to beat the Timberwolves, the best team in the Western Conference right now, without their best player, and they technically didn't have Karl Anthony Towns either. It's a little bit concerning for the Timberwolves because it's like, did Karl Anthony Towns really bring that much value to the team to the point where it's like you guys can't win any more games? They have to stay afloat until he returns from his meniscus surgery. It is questionable. He is questionable for returning back, but as of right now, it might seem that the Timberwolves season is over. It might. Just saying. But with that, we are out of time for this third segment. So now we are going to go into the fourth segment where we're going to talk about the NBA power rankings. They were just updated like 37 minutes ago. So we're going to go ahead and look at that after this. But I'll be right back after this short break.